Today on Mission Boating, our host, Captain George LaBonte, steps aboard the Savannah 210x, a bay boat with a V-bottom hull aimed at fishing versatility and notable rough water performance. The Savannah 210x has an overall length of 21 feet 8 inches, a beam of 8 feet 6 inches, and a max horsepower rating of 250. Featuring a draft of 13 inches, a deadrise of 14.5 degrees, a dry weight of 2,400 pounds, and a fuel capacity of 55 gallons, she can tackle shallow backwaters with the same ease and comfort as she can nearshore wrecks and reefs. Now, let's check in with our host to learn more about the Savannah 210x.
I'm Captain George LaBonte, and today I'm in Stuart, Florida, having a look at a brand new model from Savannah Boats, their new 210x bay boat model. But before I get into that, let's address something that's very pertinent to this particular boat. The boat market and this boat's price point is something that I definitely need to address. And I left with trepidation when we took off from the dock today, wondering why this boat behind me comes in at under $75,000. This is a boat that its competitors are priced probably double that amount. And that's got a lot to do with what's going on in the boat market today. What it amounts to is that the price of boats has just gotten ridiculously high, and boats are being priced into the stratosphere. And honestly, a boat like this, a 21-foot bay boat, is going to cost you in a lot of instances as much as you would have paid for a 35-foot center console 10 years ago. And you know, it doesn't make any sense to me. Now, the 210x coming in at around $75,000 the way you're looking at it right here, my first impulse is I've got to find out what's wrong with the boat here. And I think if we jump on the boat and take a look around here, you're going to be pleasantly surprised. Now, for a boat builder that's trying to cut costs, the first thing you think about is how do we cut maybe production and construction costs on a boat? Well, in the instance of this 210x from Savannah, that's not going to be the case. This model is built just like every other one in their line with a lot of extra attention to detail, and it starts with before this hull and top cap gets put together, there's a lot going on under the deck. All of these boats are filled with foam on inside the hull over the stringer grid, and the foam is milled off for a really precise fit for when they attach the cap and the deck on this model. Now, this is a two-piece boat here, and they put that on top, and now what that's going to do is going to give you a lot more rigidity in the boat, so it's going to feel like a solid boat when you're riding, and also it's going to make the boat unsinkable. Now, another detail that they add to this model is they back every place on the boat where there's going to be a strong connection, such as on the T-top, rocket launcher, all that is going to have a piece of blackboard underneath there built into the glass before that goes on, so that gives the guys rigging the boat something really rigid to attach all the hardware to, so your T-top and your rocket launcher and all these contact points aren't rattling around and coming loose. It's going to be a really long-lasting fit. That's not the way you cut corners in a boat. Every little thing like that adds up in the price, so in the instance of this boat being affordable, it's not because they cut corners in the construction process. Now, the next thing that comes to mind for me is, how does the boat ride? Is this a dog? I mean, does the boat just not perform well? And that's why it's priced at the point that it is. And again, with this model, that is not the case. The 210x rides incredibly well. For a bay boat, in fact, I wouldn't have any problem taking this boat offshore and going sail fishing out in front of Stuart or Jupiter, Florida on any day that I would want to fish on my 28-foot center console. So from a seaworthiness standpoint, the hull design is really solid. The boat rides great. It gets up out of the hole and goes really fast with just 150 horse outboard on it. The boat is rated up to 250 horsepower, and I can't imagine a scenario where you need 250 horsepower because the boat just jams out with a 150 on it. So if I was looking for a way they were trying to cut costs with the finish work, the overall appearance of this boat and the quality of everything that I can see, that is definitely not going to be the issue here. Now, when it comes to bay boat layout and design on the inside of the boat, they've got plenty of room up here for a forward casting deck, but they've added a really nice deep well cockpit in here. So as I said, this boat goes offshore, and you're going to go sail fishing, you're going to find yourself in a situation offshore in a 2 to 3 foot chop and the boat's rocking, and you don't necessarily want to be standing up here. And this provides you with the ability to get down inside the boat on the deck and have plenty of room to fish around in the boat. Now, as far as the other layout features on the boat, I mean, within the space that this casting deck occupies, you've got storage ability. You've got a box on either side for the seating there. One of them features rod tubes, so you can stow rods and put them away and get them out of sight. And the center section here is storage compartment, but you can also rig this up as a live well as well. So if you're somebody who's really into doing a lot of heavy live bait fishing, that's an option that I would consider. Now, another feature common to bay boats obviously is a trolling motor, and that's something that I can't imagine not having on a boat like this. This model is pre-wired for a trolling motor, although there's not one on this boat. It is pre-wired for one, and it is available as an option, one that I would definitely recommend. Now, one of the first things that jumped out at me about the boat when I got on board her today to start driving around was the dark colored underside to this hardtop and the dark colored powder coating on the pipework. And that's a really important feature on a boat that's got a white topside. A white deck is going to throw a lot of glare off, but all this dark underside and all this framed in dark area around the driver's position is going to swallow up a lot of glare. And that's going to really, one, come in handy if you're trying to see stuff in the water, and two, at the end of the day, your eye strain is going to be reduced to a minimum. Now, the console itself has got a piece of black acrylic on there for your gauges, and your electronics will fit in there nicely, and ergonomically it's a comfortable place to drive from. Another thing that jumped out at me about the boat was this seat is very comfortable, but they've used the footrest in this leaning post to accommodate a roto-molded cooler. Now, that tucks the cooler up forward underneath the leaning post and makes a little more room behind it, but more importantly, it gives you a place to rest your feet that's above the rail, which is actually intended to be your footrest. I actually prefer putting my heels on top of this cooler. It was a very comfortable position to drive from when I wasn't in the standing position. Now, another handy feature on this leaning post is you've got a couple of tackle compartments on the back and 4 rod holders across the back, which complement the additional 4 rod holders across the back of the hardtop and 2 kingfish style trolling rod holders on the sides of the hardtop. Now, finally, in the aft section here, this raised deck in the cockpit is a place where you can easily get up and fish off of. Now, it's not as big as the area in the front of the boat, but it's definitely big enough to fish out of. The cushions are a nice addition if you want to put the backrest in and the cushions just for riding around. I definitely recommend taking the cushions off if you're going to fish. It's going to provide a little more stable element to stand around on. And in the center section here, you've got an additional live well that's going to span this section. So between the live well in the front and the live well in the back here, you've got your bait covered. Now, finally, as a feature that's included in this model at the price point we discussed is the Power Pole Pro Series 2. These stake anchors are just a great thing to have on the boat. Just like the trolling motor, I can't imagine a boat like this without them, and I highly recommend it. It's a great tool for whether you just want to stop the boat when you're drifting across a flat, or if you want to put the bow up on the beach and stabilize the boat, you put it down like we are here today. Highly recommended, and this one comes with one already installed. As I wrap up the day here, I'm still brought back to the question of why is this boat such an affordable package? And did I try and find things wrong with it? I did. Did I find anything wrong with it? I did not. There's a lot of boat to love here, and maybe the answer is that I'm not meant to understand why this boat is so affordable. Maybe I should just be happy that there are still boats out there that the average guy can afford that are really well put together. With that said, I'm George LaBonte. This is the 210X from Savannah.
Mission Boating, the ultimate marine resource.